Hello! So I'm going to do probably a 2-hour stream tonight. I'm going to start it with the Canadian C3 gas mask on, but I'm not going to keep that on for the entire stream. I managed to repair the C3 earlier, which was good, because previously one of the straps had come off, but it's been repaired now. It was a pain in the arse to repair, but it's done, so there we go. I really hate the straps on this mask though, they're sort of done in such a weird way. It's sort of that old school British style strap system, which isn't very good. It's, you know, there's a reason modern masks have replaced the strap system. But I'm not going to actually use it for any practical purposes in this video, so that's fine, I'll just keep it as it is. Yeah, it looks very cool. It's basically just an improved British light anti-gas respirator, but I've always liked the look of this mask. It's just a shame that the straps aren't a bit better on it. It's not too small, it's just simply that it's got a really weird strap system to adjust. It's, you know, completely covering my face. My eyes are pretty centralised in it. As you can see, it seems to pressurise fine. When I've tested it before, it's worked. Yeah, this is a French camo. Yeah, that's a finish filter. If I get close enough, the webcam might even focus on the text on the filter. It's got a price sticker on there from the surplus store, but yeah, because the finish filters are relatively safe, I generally bought a couple of those just to use the 60mm masks if I wasn't bothering to use a converter on them. See if I can get that price sticker off. No, I don't think that's going to come off properly. Ah, good. That's good. I've got two types of tactical gloves. Well, I've got police riot gloves as well. But in terms of tactical gloves, I've got both fingerless and, like, the fingered ones. Oh, well, if you check the merch out underneath, hopefully you'll see that there's one of the actual illustrated bits of merch there now. You should be able to see the, if YouTube's updated to show them, the British Mark V bits of merch. So you should be able to see that there's Mark IVs on a mug. I've ordered one of those. So when it arrives, I'll be drinking out of those when I do streams. There's also, you can get, sorry, not Mark IVs, Mark Vs. You can get Mark Vs on hoodies. And posters and everything now, and there'll be more gas mask designs coming out. I think that thing's meant to be some sort of like sweat remover or whatever, but it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really do its job. The thing on the GSR. No, it's just you. The SLR isn't small. If you can see it next to the katana, and it's almost the size of a full katana, you know, or the saber. So it's, you know, as you can see, compared to the swords, it's the same size, so it's not small. I really like Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. The issue is, it kept crashing on the stream. So after it crashed twice, I gave up, tried to do a normal stream, but then YouTube didn't send a notification out, so I had like 3 people watching, was barely getting any comments, so I just ended the stream. That'd be cool, but I don't know if they will add that. There's going to be more stuff added to the game because it's early access at the moment. Cool, yeah, with my GSR I pulled that bit out because it cut into my chin, and it doesn't really do anything. As far as I'm aware, it's meant to remove moisture, like, you know, it collects sweat or whatever in it, and then, you know, it collects in that section, if that makes sense, rather than sort of filling up the mask, but I don't think it really does its job very well. It depends how long you used it for, but I'm sure you'd be fine. Asbestos exposure is like a long-term thing. No, there's no such thing as a bulletproof gas mask. If he's really worried, get a doctor to give him a lung x-ray or whatever, but I'm sure he'll be fine. How good condition are either of them? Because a Prussian sabre in brilliant condition is obviously a better historical antique than an Africa core helmet. But it depends on the condition and everything of them. Yep, yippee, there's a video where I did that with a GP5 filter. I know YouTube says it takes, or Teespring says it takes 2 days sometimes when you make new things for them to show up on there. Well, people making memes will be copyrighted. I can only make original content to put on memes. Potentially cheeky breaky, but you definitely want an actual stab vest or some sort of armour panel rather than relying on, than actually relying on a, coat. A coat might work, but I wouldn't risk your life on it. And again, it depends on the kind of knife. If it's somebody just using a Swiss Army knife or something, that's not going to stab in as well as somebody using a big kitchen knife. Personally, I'd go for the Prussian sword, but if you want the other one, go for the other one. Well, it's very hard for me to get American gas masks, just simply because America export bans them, so I can only get them in my collection as and when they sort of turn up from outside the US. So I mostly have a lot more European gas masks, but that's not by choice, that's just simply due to America's weird policy on gas mask exports. I've just noticed this mask on the stream that's quite lopsided. I don't know if I've made it worse doing it that, or was I likely to turn it that way to correct it? Yeah, it looks very lopsided for some reason, but I think that's because the filter's pulling it down to one side. Also could be how tight individual straps are. Well, Kevlar is a ballistic material. Well, we're not going to add any content that isn't ours, so everything's going to be original content. As far as I'm aware, yes, all US military equipment is export banned. It was done under some sort of legislation they did at some point. I got the C3 I'm wearing for about £30, but that was years and years ago. I think they've gone up and have got harder to get since then. Right, anybody asking political questions, just see the disclaimer at the bottom of the screen, the one that's down there. I'm not going to start getting into politics. No, Prussian is old Germany. It was like a German empire under Frederick the Great. That's like 1700 sort of period. Probably going to be wrong on that. But it's like a German empire. It's French camo. I think it's called an F2 shirt, the one I've got on, but I think it's called something like Central European pattern. Is the actual name of the camo. It's similar to US Woodland. It's a different pattern though. It's a very big splotch as well. Looking forward to in what sense? In terms of games being released, no, other than Total, when they actually finish releasing Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. Oddworld Soulstorm, that's about it. Yeah, my job's good, thank you. Don't know if I've seen the Austrian Fleckton. No, I've not ordered anything that you haven't seen on videos yet. I've got the PBF I need to do the video on, but I haven't done that yet. Oh, well, it's less effective at a distance because there's less contrast between the colours. Yeah, of course there's British camo, but I'm not wearing it at the moment. I've been in a Cold War bunker fairly recently, which was Calvin and Hatch, but I've not been a World War II one for ages, but there's plenty that are museums. Oh yeah, thank you, yeah. Don't forget to like the stream, everybody. Not that I personally know, no. Yeah, I'll take the mask off now so I can read stuff a bit easier. Pop my glasses on. I've also got a big mug of coffee again, so I'll have to check the temperature of that in a moment. Right, if you're on about the SLR, I'm pretty sure there's airsoft versions of SLRs and FOWs, but I don't have one. Right, we'll see if we get a few more people joining the chat in a minute, because at the moment it says there's 28 people watching, but I'm not getting all that many questions. I don't think I've got slow mode on, have I? What about explosive arrows? They definitely exist. I don't have any, you know, they might be illegal to make in the UK, but they definitely exist. Probably the Uzi, because it's known to be reliable and it's a pretty famous gun. Yeah, explosive bullets obviously exist. Explosive pretty much anything exists. Guinea pigs are alright. I prefer rabbits and that with other small animals, but I like most animals. I've seen some of those alarms. It depends which type you mean. Do you mean the ones that set off shotguns, shells? Or do you mean the ones that are just like an alarm, like a trip motion alarm? This is a Canadian C3. So it's the Canadian version of the light anti-gas respirator. But the main difference between it and the British light anti-gas respirators is this actually has a oral nasal cup inside, so it doesn't fog up as much. Yep, pepper spray is classed as a Section 5 firearm, so only police and things can carry it. As a civilian you could get seriously done if you carried it. Yeah, I mean, I've got no use for one of those gamekeeper alarms. That's not to say I wouldn't find them interesting, but I just have no use for it whatsoever. I'll have to look at what Polish DWS uniform is. With a lot of stuff, it's if I spot the surplus at a decent price. Because, is that like Polish multicam kind of thing? I mean, there's not much point me getting that in the sense that I've already got British MTP camo, which you can get very cheaply, which is almost the same. Alright, as I've already said in the description, don't say anything that's illegal. That's, you know, a warning to anybody. I'll delete the messages to start with, but if people start posting stuff that's illegal, they just have to be blocked, sadly. British World War II masks, depending on which one you go for, civilian respirator, depends which country you're in as well, but in the UK, civilian respirators are generally under £30, depending on the condition. The military masks, like in the £30 to £50 range, depending on the condition, if they've got the haversack, that kind of thing. Light anti-gas respirators you can get sometimes cheaper than some of the others, but sometimes they're like just after World War II, even if they're the World War II models. Maybe a Draeger M65 T55, because those are, even though they don't fit everybody, they're generally pretty well made masks. No, you're not blocked because you just made a comment. Well, this isn't a British World War II mask though, as I said. This is a Canadian C3, but it's based on some of the British World War II designs. Could look through it like that, couldn't I? Even though I don't put it on for the stream. Yeah, Lee Enfield #1 Mark III. It depends which nation you're on about with Soviet kit. Which other one I have? I prefer masks with straps normally, but it depends on the quality of the straps. If it's like a modern mask with a 6-point elastic sort of head harness that's very easy to adjust, good. But with a mask like this, when they have pretty crappy straps like this one, where, you know, the straps aren't very easy to adjust and they keep kind of loosening themselves, I definitely prefer a GP5 style mask to these, just because you put it on and then it's on. Yeah, it's a Finish M61 60mm filter on the mask at the moment. I'm not very much in favour of our current firework laws, just because we get a lot of people around here that dangerously let fireworks off. I definitely don't think you should need all the license kind of stuff for them, but I think they need to certainly make it stricter on when you can and can't buy fireworks and everything, just because there's some people who've obviously set people's houses on fire and stuff like that by not launching fireworks properly. No, I've got an M1 carbine, not an M3 carbine. Yep, it contains chromium, but as I've said in lots of videos, I'm not particularly worried about hexyl envelopment, or however it's pronounced, chromium, because there's not any proper studies to say it's dangerous. Well, the FAL was an SLR, the SLR's an improved FAL, so no, I don't think the original FALs are better than SLRs, because the SLR is a FAL with design improvements made to it, and you wouldn't need the full auto function on it, because it's a battle rifle. No, the M61 filter contains chromium as well as the M9 filter, but the M9 filter also contains asbestos, so I wouldn't use an M9 filter. No, well, it depends if you're on about full face masks versus half face masks. If you're on about that, then yeah, half face masks aren't as good, but it depends what you're getting at. You're thinking of the Yugoslav M59 or M1 mask, which is a clone of the US M9A1. Just checking something up a second. So if you make any comments, I'll miss them for the moment. But yeah, if you weren't in the stream earlier when I mentioned it, there's some of the actual drawn artwork on the merch now. Only a Mark V so far, but worth checking out if you're one of the people saying you wanted to wait for the thing. Well, there's lots of firearms that could have been made in different calibers, but that really depends, doesn't it? You want a caliber like 308 or 7.62 NATO because it's, you know, logistics of mass producing a cartridge. I've not actually played The Division, but I know it is like Tom Clancy's The Division. If you mean things like 3M half face masks, it depends what filters they've got on them. But if your eyes aren't protected, there's still a risk with some things that they could get in through your eyes. I've got the one that's known as Puma pattern. I don't know if Cheetah's the same one or a different one. They're real but deactivated. So basically you can't shoot them, even if you had ammunition for them. I think you're just going to always get scammers. The thing is, if you're using sites like eBay, you have buyer protection. I've got a Puma jacket. There's actually, you can see I've got that because in my upcoming videos, what I've done today is not all of them, but a load of my upcoming videos I've done the premiere function for again. That way you can actually see what the upcoming videos are. That way people won't keep asking me like what videos are coming out this week or whatever. So yeah. But there's one where I've actually got that coat in the thumbnail. I can't make the Discord available to everybody, sadly, because I already have enough problems on it with people who are paying to get access, so if I made it free for everybody, it would just turn into a shitfest. Yeah, it crashes a bit at the moment, but it is good fun. I've probably already put 2 or 3 or 4 hours in it so far. What's my dictator-style management then, the Russian gopher? I don't really know anything about the Bulgarian M36 helmet, so I can't tell you. Well, Strict Arm doesn't have any black in it to begin with. It's 2 shades of green or brown. The stripes are definitely brown. The actual main colour of the camo is sort of similar to olive drab. It works because it picks up ambient light very well. The same reason olive drab camo works, or like coyote brown camo. Well, it depends what you mean with Jordan Peterson. He's quite interesting when he talks a lot about farmer psychology and that kind of stuff, and that's a lot of stuff before he's got more famous, but a lot of the stuff he's famous for now is political stuff, so I'm not going to get into it. So it depends which sort of thing you're on about him talking about. What I was saying in the last video, T55, when I was talking about body armour, is I prefer soft body armour. Actually, by saying that, it might have even been on one of Weapon Collector's streams we were discussing this. Personally, although I can see obviously why the military would use trauma plates and everything, I personally think if I was setting something up for myself, I'd just want a soft body armour jacket on. Yeah, don't worry about it. Because I'm saying I can't even remember which video it was in. So something like Kevlar level 2 or 3A. Because I'd rather be more mobile and, you know, not get shot at. Because the problem is, if somebody opens up on you with an automatic weapon, even if you've got trauma plates, as soon as you're hit somewhere that isn't the plates, you're pretty screwed. I don't know. I can't answer questions on space because I'm not an expert on space. No, I've not heard about that, but it sounds like this is getting into a very political or religious thing, so I don't really want to go into that if it is. Isn't ERDL basically very similar to M81 Woodland though, because I thought M81 developed from a lot of those Vietnam camos, but M81's a very good camo pattern. What about Rhodesia? It was much better than it is now with Zimbabwe, but I'm not going to get too into any sort of politics of Africa, as I said, because we're not doing political things. Yeah, I'm not saying you did mean it as a controversial question, but it's just anything that's too political or religious I don't want to get into, because it just starts people arguing non-stop. Yeah, one of my friends is doing one of those sort of designs, but he's having to draw it up because obviously I don't want any copyright on that sort of stuff. I can't basically, you know, just get the pictures off of somewhere, because then that's stealing somebody's thing. You have to get them redrawn up. Well, the previous few streams I've been using this camera, but yeah, this is a Logitech one. It's, I think the C920 or something it's called, but it's 1080p rather than 720p, and it's got autofocus, so to demonstrate that, if I put the mug up to the camera, it will focus on the mug. Then if I put it down again, it will focus back on me. The previous camera couldn't do that. The sensor's also a lot better in it, so it picks up the room lighting a lot better, you know, so it doesn't look as washed out or too dim. I prefer the FAL, well, if I had to use one, just simply because it's semi-automatic. The PPSH and the RPK are both down there, but I'm not going to get them out at the moment because I have to then put them back away, which can be a bit of a pain. But I can't hang them all on the wall, as I've said quite a lot of times on these streams. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to have a lot more protection, aren't you, of a plate carrier, but, you know, a lightweight Kevlar vest is at least going to protect you a bit from shrapnel and pistol rounds, whereas the, you know, like a plate carrier, as much as it gives you better protection, if it's, you know, makes you slower, you know, and all that sort of stuff, then that's when it becomes a problem. Bows and crossbows are perfectly legal in the UK. If you've seen any of my videos, really, you'll know I've got quite a few bows and crossbows. You can even see some in the background of this video at the moment. Crossbows just simply because they're far easier to use. I mean, obviously, there's a bit more satisfaction with getting a good group with a traditional bow because it requires a bit more skill. But in terms of shooting, you know, a group and how well a weapon works, or you know, like a sporting tool works, a crossbow is far better just because it's much easier to use. I don't know what you mean by an S19, but the CT12 is one of my favourite masks. Great sword's big, you know, it's like a sword but bigger. Well, the FM12 was a mask that replaced the S10. So basically, the S10 was replaced by Avon by the FM12. The CT12 is a specialist version of the FM12. The 12 is basically the S10 but better in every way. So that will answer that, hopefully. Alright, I'm just checking the stream's alright because it's not working correctly at my end. Is it still playing for everybody? Let me know in the comments. Let me just refresh my page and see if it's still playing. It still says it's live, but... I think this may be a problem at YouTube's end, if you can still hear me, because my internet seems to be working fine. But it's saying, sorry, something went wrong on the right. Right, is that back? Yeah, I don't think it was actually my stream directly that crashed though, because I was getting problems on the YouTube page that said stuff about it. If you can hear what I'm saying, because the stream on my end, basically what I'm seeing playing back at the moment isn't the stuff I'm currently doing. So I don't know which bit you're seeing. I'm just going to keep F5ing the page to see if it starts functioning properly again. Right, it says it's green again now. Make sure you click the thing in the stream that says live so it jumps back to where we are. But on my end it's at least showing the stream health as green again. I think it's a problem at YouTube's end because all my internet from looking on my phone seems to be working fine. And with part of it had that picture of the monkey that came up in the top chat area, or live chat area, where it basically said, like, you know, oh, something went wrong, so I'm assuming it's like a YouTube server problem. How much is the CT12? If it's a decent price, get one, but again, it depends how much it is. If it's like over £100, then no. Maybe, I don't know, it just depends how much you want it. For that sort of price, if I hadn't got one, I might, because it is sort of my favourite mask, but I got my CT12 for £30, that's the thing. But they are fairly rare, so it's really up to you. If you make the chat full screen, you'll be able to read that absolutely fine. It's just a disclaimer is there for the sake of it being there. Yeah, on my end, the stream's actually updating when I do stuff. The quality doesn't look very good anymore. I don't know if that's because... Oh, it's put it down to 144p. Let me just click the 1080p thing again. Right, when I click 1080p, I'm just going to F5 the page again. The stream looks normal at my end now, so I'm assuming it's back to normal. But I don't actually... you know entirely if it is back to normal. Well, yeah, because 1080p I'm outputting the entire stream in 1080p. The difference is YouTube's auto-changing the quality, which I wish it wouldn't do, because for me, I want all the time my bandwidth is good enough that I should be able to watch videos in 1080p, but YouTube for some reason does that auto thing where it lowers the quality sometimes. Well, I wouldn't have any of the production facilities to design a gas mask other than drawing it out on a piece of paper, and I don't really know if I could top a lot of the decent designs out there. Well, yeah, it said I wasn't live at my end as well, and then it came back on. But I think the problem was actually at YouTube ends, because OBS was saying that I was streaming all the time. The internet was still showing up on my phone fine when I checked it there. So I think it was literally YouTube crashing out. I got my CT12 on eBay for £30, as I already said. Or it might have been £40, but it's somewhere between £30 and £40. It was like a buy it now. Years ago. No, sadly I've never been to the US. No, I don't have any old muskets. It might take quite a while, Russian Gopher, before somebody does that, because at the moment every site that tries to compete just fails horribly. Right, my streaming schedule is Tuesdays and Thursdays I definitely do a stream, unless of course something comes up on one of the days and I really can't do it, because, you know, I actually have a real life outside of YouTube, which might surprise people. But, you know, when that happens, obviously there's now and again times when I just can't stream because I physically might not be in my house or whatever. So, Tuesday and Thursdays are the days where I'm always streaming. Unless, of course, I can't. Then I like to try and do a stream on Monday, Wednesday as well. I won't stream on Friday or Saturday unless I do a really early stream on a Friday. Mostly because Weapon Collector does a stream in the evening Friday and Saturday. Because I work at the weekends, I don't always do streams at the weekend, because obviously if I don't have the energy after finishing work, then I won't be streaming. But Tuesday and Thursday is the main day for streaming, basically. I did answer the question. I've answered it like twice now, Beeben. I said I got it for between £30 and £40 from eBay. Cold War sort of period, Russian Gopher, so like you say, World War II onwards. Just because I find that's a bit more interesting in terms of like mutually assured destruction kind of stuff. looks at least now like everything is back to normal, but annoyingly I don't know if the view figures are going to recover, because I wanted to do about a 2-hour stream tonight, and I'm 40 minutes in now, but you know, a load of people now, now might not get a notification to say it's actually back. Yeah, well, like I've said before, Peach, you can definitely get the masks for that price, but some people are like, no, I have personally caused every S10 in existence to go up massively in price. I've ruined the gas mask market for everyone. Well, the reality is they're surplus masks. The more the stock dries up of them, the more the price goes up. You can still spot them for good prices. I might have to try and swig my coffee back fairly soon because it's getting to the temperature that's a bit too low to be nice to drink. Well, I'm not always standing in the streams, but I've been doing that a bit more recently because it stops me slouching out of frame. Yeah, I have a Pascat helmet. Well, I have the British version of a Pascat, which the armed police use, called a commando helmet. I mean, I know what Sealand is, as in, like, the little sea fort thing where the guy made his own kingdom there. But no political questions. That's really annoying, Rich, but yeah, hopefully it doesn't take too long to heal. Well, I assume that's how you meant to say Pascat, but it's literally an acronym, isn't it? Personal Armour System Ground Troops, whatever it's meant to stand for. Well, they simply will be mechanised and weaponised because there's less of them about in the US. Although Avon has a US factory now, so M50s are Avon masks. Which mask is $60 US? The S10 in the US or what? But the thing is, $60 US is worth less in pounds, so it's probably actually a very similar price then to the current S10 sort of price. If that is the S10 you're on about. Right, hello. Hope you're alright in Hawaii. Cheers. At some point I'll get, when some more designs are drawn up, I'll get a merch shirt so I can advertise my own stuff on the shirt, but at the moment it's just the French one. But for the people who missed it earlier, there is some of the actual drawn merchandise people said they were interested in, so if you look at the Teespring link below, you can actually see that now. Right, while I'm waiting for questions to come in, I guess I'm going to finish my coffee off. So I'll pause drinking it if I get a good question. Yeah, all the swords I have are sharp. I don't have any dull swords except for my Bokken, but that's not obviously an actual sword, it's wooden. Right, that's the coffee finished. Favourite book, as in fiction or non-fiction? Yeah, as I've already said this stream, crossbows are legal in the UK. If you're asking a question like that, read the FAQ because it's in there. That's pretty good. Yeah, in the UK you can generally get for £30 odd Flecton and the British DPM Gore-Tex coats. Fiction book, probably George Orwell's 1984, just because so much of it's come true. Yeah, I'm fairly good, thank you. We had a bit of webcam trouble, well not webcam trouble actually, just YouTube stream trouble earlier, but that sorted itself out. As for the Second Amendment question earlier, I covered that in a recent video. But basically, I'm in favour of it in the US, but I don't know how well it would work if you just tried to introduce that over here all of a sudden. Yeah, good, numbers are going back up. If you mean performance of the rifles altogether, probably the SVD, but it'd be very close between the PSG-1 and the SVD. The VSS is quite short range because it's 9x39mm. No idea. Up to you, Stalky R, if you think it's a good investment or not. I can't advise you on that. I like Russian Flora, but I don't know how effective a camo it would be at disrupting overall. I really like Russian SS Leto camo, and there's a couple of other Russian camos I really like, but yeah, it's been raining here all day as well. Yeah, yesterday the weather was nice. Most of last week the weather was nice, but now apparently for all the rest of this week it's going to be rainy and like wet and miserable. So yeah, not brilliant. I was out for quite a lot of it, helping my friend walk his dogs. But the good thing is the waterproof trousers I bought, which are made from this kind of spandexy kind of material. Yeah, it's 93% polyester, 7% spandex according to the label. These are very comfy and actually did keep me really dry, so that was good. Don't know if this label is actually going to focus from the webcam, because it's white, it might, you know, like white out on the webcam. Yeah, that's not going to show. But, yeah, very comfortable trousers, and these are very good. You can get these on eBay and Amazon quite cheaply, but this wouldn't look like, because I don't actually have many waterproof trousers that aren't NBC gear. It's called French, something like Central European camo, or something like that. The shirt's called an F2 shirt, but I think that's just the name of the shirt, not the camo. I'd only pick up Gorka suits if I saw them very cheaply, so I've not got no desire to do it at the moment, because there's also the space factor of, you know, actually storing a lot of the stuff, because my wardrobes are pretty much all jammed full and everything else. The multi-tarn kind of one, the pictures I've seen of it, it looks pretty good, but sadly it's probably going to be quite a while before that turns up on the surplus market. Tell you what, because I've been standing up for 40 odd minutes, let me pull my chair back over and I'll sit down. Then I'll just adjust the webcam if I need to stay in frame. Yep, so now if I point that down. There we go, that's pretty much perfect. I prefer old Flecton, but depends. If you compare M81 Woodland to modern Flecton, I'd say M81 Woodland, but if you compare like the older Flecton, like the 1980s, 1990s sort of Flecton with the brighter contrasting colours, I can give you an example of that, like the one that's on my Flecton trousers. If you're on about this colour palette, I'd say this sort of Flecton, but if you go to the more modern Flecton, which just has like an overall brown hue to it, because apparently they thought that would be a good idea, or it would cheapen production costs or whatever, then I'd say the M81 Woodland, just because there's not enough contrast on the newer Flecton. The merch isn't like 50 quid. It depends which bits you want, obviously. Things like the hoodies cost a lot more just because the starting price for them has to be more. But things like the mugs and t-shirts are pretty cheap. I've got them only like with a couple of pounds profit on them. Cool. Yeah, there's going to be a lot more designs coming on the merch for people who are interested. It's just when Bart gets a chance to draw them. But, you know, watch the page basically, because there will be more and more stuff added. Probably, I guess, a new design every week or so, up until there's quite a lot of different designs. New releases? No clue. In terms of stuff I've started watching, this isn't a new release and it's not a film. The TV series Firefly, that Fox low-budget sci-fi TV series. Yeah, because it's like with your merch, isn't it, Mike? It's all priced fairly well. But yeah. The thing is, for people, if you don't know about this, with merch, is if you're using Teespring, there's a minimum price you have to set for the merch, and then anything you put above that is how much profit you get. So, like for example, with a t-shirt, I think it's roughly £10 or $10 as the starting price. So if you put it as like £14 or £15 or dollars, you're making like $4 or $5 profit, where a lot of channels I've seen have the t-shirts for like $20 plus, so they're making like $10 profit. So yeah, most of my stuff isn't very high on the profit margins. It relies more on, you know, if I wanted to get decent money from it, people buying it. But the problem is with merch, you can't really get the prices all that low. You know, you're never going to get Primark style prices for it, because you have to have a company that's going to print it to order and then send it out and everything. No, I've not heard of that, Jackson Johnson. Alright, that's cool. Yeah, prop filters are useful, obviously, if you want something totally safe to wear. Yeah, I was thinking that, because I like the yellow and black coloration on it, and I was thinking I might get him to make an actual parody of the Gadsden flag, you know, the Don't Tread on Me one. But we'll have to see which mask would look good on that. Yeah, I know the SS Leto is recoloured World War II SS camo, but it looks more effective in the Russian coloration than the original German World War II one. At some point, Bart's going to do a really cool poster design with like either a load of NATO or Warsaw Pact stuff on, and that'll be like a full-size colour one. And once that's done, I'm going to order that as a poster, and it'll always be in the background for all the streams then. Or I might do it as a wall tapestry, I don't know. I'll do one of the two, but I think that would just make the background look a lot more interesting. Yeah, for £25 I'd have bought an MG42 barrel as well. Yeah, I did watch that trailer because somebody asked me had I seen it the other day, and I hadn't. I watched it and it does look quite interesting. There's a very good BBC like one-off episode called, I think it's Surviving Disaster Chernobyl, which is very good, which is worth watching if you haven't seen that. But yeah, I'll watch the HBO series definitely. And they put a trailer out recently for the Deadwood movie. But I'm not like a fan of Game of Thrones or anything, so it's nice to see HBO actually making some decent content again. Oh yeah, older camos still work, as long as the camo's a good design. The reason lots of countries are using multi-cam style camos now is it's just because it's cheaper to print one camo that works in most places in the world to a decent degree than you know, doing a specialised desert, woodland, like Arctic camo and all that kind of thing. West and East German surplus was very cheap because a lot of it was made during the Cold War, and then the Cold War ended, and recently Germany sold off lots and lots of its surplus to make more money. And now they've had supply problems since, where you know, they don't have a lot of stuff left in service now because they were so eager to sell it off. Of course, cool, Peach. Yeah, I don't have any mags for guns I don't actually own. I've only got like the magazines that are in the deactivated guns I have, but yeah, if you can get the mags cheap enough, that's fairly cool. I mean, Spetsnaz are more famous. I know VDV are like the paratroopers, but I would just say Spetsnaz because I know a bit more about them. eBay's the best place to buy cheap surplus. Oh, it's like a collectible, isn't it? Right, basically, Germany still uses Flecktarn, but they're phasing it out supposedly in terms of like something called multi-tarn or like multi-fleck, whatever it is, which is their, you know, it's literally like a multicam coloration of Flecktarn. It looks fairly good, to be honest, but apparently they've had issues, you know, where they've oversupplied the surplus market, and they're actually getting worried about how much they've supplied the surplus market, and they're on about soon like destroying old uniforms rather than selling them on. I really hope that's not the case, because I do like buying Milsurp, especially like the really well made stuff. Like Flecktarn trousers are some of my favourite combat trousers, these, because I love both the camo pattern and these are really comfortable, well made trousers with like good buttons on them, good deep pockets, you know, so it's good both as a camo and actually you know, good outdoor walking trousers, just because of how deep these pockets are. If you can see that there, you know, you can easily fit a wallet or a phone really into that pocket and you never have to worry about it falling out. Why the problem is lots of, you know, trousers that aren't Milsurp ones don't have very big pockets in at all. I mean, that's what Canada decided to do, and I have no idea why, because they made up some silly reasons for it, but you know, in reality there's no point destroying it, because people can just literally make a knockoff of your camo anyway and sell it just for more money. So it's like where they destroy all the CAD pat rather than selling it on, what ends up happening is there's like third-party companies that then just make identical copies of CAD pat to sell on the surplus market, in a sense, even though it's not surplus. So Canada's just literally losing the sales they'd have otherwise have made. So I said I think it's just a dumb thing to do, really. They can say all the things they want about stolen valor or whatever else, but in all honesty, it's just because, you know, it's just a dumb reason. Yeah, I know you don't have the good quality original stuff, but the problem is that they're literally losing money from their end. They could sell on Milsurp and make some money from it, or they could destroy it, get no money from it, and then third-party companies are still going to make rip-offs of all the designs anyway. So if they said, oh, people can imitate Canadian soldiers or whatever, they're still going to do that, because they can literally buy the exact, you know, copies of the camos, done like a one-to-one. If that makes sense. I haven't seen Gamekeeper's channel. I might check that out at some point if I remember. The problem is, when a lot of the time when people mention a load of things during streams, I always forget once I finish streaming. Outdoor activities. I like going on walks in the countryside, like dog walking or just going on a walk for pleasure. Depends really. But yeah, mostly like hiking, kind of walking type stuff. Right, it says there's 30 people watching, so with all the 30 people watching, if you want to leave comments, that would be good, because at the moment it seems like there's only 2 or 3 people leaving comments. So if you're watching, don't be shy, type in comments and I can answer your Q&As and whatever else. That's alright, Peach, it's just I'm finding it a bit weird that there's so many people on, yet so few people commenting. Because apparently, according to my stats, I'm getting 2.5 messages a minute, where if you've got about 30 people on, that means most people aren't commenting at all. Very few sports, to be honest. I find football pretty boring. It's one of those things where if England's playing, I might listen or watch it, depending if I've got nothing better to do. Rugby I find a bit more exciting than football. Most sports I find are a bit crap. Battle of Nations and things like that I'll actually sometimes watch on YouTube when they're on, but they're not like proper sports. I think esports are really stupid as well. So, for the most part, I'm pretty miserable and don't watch many sports, just because I find so much of it is this over, like, done, you know, mass-marketed kind of so fake-looking stuff. American football is basically just rugby where people wear armour. So I'd rather watch American football than UK football, but I'd rather watch rugby than American football. Especially because American football's got all like those massive ad breaks and everything, hasn't it? It's so commercialised. That sounds like complete nonsense, Vault Boy. The surplus is going to be the surplus. It's the probability that somebody's gone to Chernobyl to get surplus to sell on the surplus market is so low when there's just warehouses of all the stuff everywhere. I'd rather not have rust on my swords. With some of them, like, you're not going to be able to see it from there, but like with that arming sword I've got, that rusts very easily, so I have to oil it every time I use it. So sometimes where I've not put enough oil on it, you get a bit of rust on it, but that's not a preference, I wouldn't want that on there. With that sabre, the scabbard actually rusts quite easily as well, a bit more easily than blade. So the blade's nicely oiled, but with the sabre, there's a bit of rust on the scabbard where I've like picked the sabre up by its scabbard and put it back, you know, and then obviously like the oil from your hands causes it to rust. Yeah, my dad used to have a full-size snooker table in our garage when we used to have a garage before it got converted into another room. But then he had to get rid of the snooker tables for the room to be converted. But yeah, not even a pool table, he had a full-on snooker table. Alright, happy birthday for tomorrow then, Beeben, or Beben, however your name's pronounced. I don't really know. I mean, something like Top 10 Scary Gas Masks keeps getting a lot of views, and it's an interesting video to do, but I don't actually like doing videos like that. I find some of the parody videos I film I actually enjoy doing a lot more. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like stainless steel pocket knives a lot more than carbon steel ones, just because you don't have to do as much maintenance on them. Whereas I'm in the UK, I haven't tried doing anything like that. But if you're in a country where you can legally shoot rockets from crossbows, then have fun. Was that the one where I said Mickey Mask? Or I could ask Weapon Collector to make me one and buy one from him. Yeah, but that's also because like modern swords tend to be higher carbon steel content than like medieval swords. So the thing is, with lots of modern swords, they actually rust easier. And also, if you think about Roman soldiers, if they were fighting in Italy and Africa and places like that, it's nowhere near as humid as Britain. In Britain, stuff rusts very easily because of how humid it is. Like, it's generally like 50 to 90% humidity at any time. No, I've got no interest in MREs, just simply because they're very overpriced for getting a day's worth of food. That's a funny coincidence, Mike. Alright, let me have a quick look then, Mike, at your message. My phone didn't beep to tell me, but... yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Mike, please. So yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. I mean, it completely depends on the MRE. If they taste bad or not. Because there's so many different types of MREs, like most nations issue several different variants, and there's obviously a lot of different nations out there. But just my point kind of being, for me, is some people seem to think as a civilian buying MREs is a good way of, like, you know, packing a food bag for a bug out kind of situation. But the problem is that lots of time when I look at MREs to buy the ones that are nearly out of date, it's £20 to £30, where you can literally for probably £1 or £2 completely make the same amount of calories up as an MRE. I assume it will go. Is it a leather type scabbard? Because I know generally with leather scabbards you sometimes get a bit of an issue where every time you put the sword in and out, it obviously cuts a bit of the scabbard and it puts a bit on the blade. Yeah, it's just because it's a leather scabbard, then that will eventually stop. Just wipe the blade every time you take it out and eventually the leather will stop sort of shedding onto the blade. Because I haven't had any issue with the metal ones. Well, if the MREs with the vegan or vegetarian kind of stuff in it have the exact same amount of calories and nutritional value, then I have no problem with it. Yeah, I mean, if you're getting supplied them in the military, it's obviously not a problem because you're not paying for them, but you wouldn't want to pay like £20 to £30 or dollars, would you, per meal? Or like per day's worth of food. Yeah, I do like Marmite. I've never tried Vegemite though, but actual Marmite I do like. I don't like Marmite on everything. Sometimes I like putting Marmite on really sweet things, which might sound weird because the Marmite's such a contrasting taste to the sweet stuff. I don't actually know with Vaseline. I know WD-40 you're not actually meant to use on a lot of things because it can still rust. But I just buy Hanway sword oil because you can get it quite cheaply, and the amount I bought a few years ago has never run out. I've still got loads left. Ooh, favourite cake? That's a good question. I mean, I'm quite bland and boring in the fact I like Victoria sponges and things like that, but I quite like Jamaica cake as well, which is like that spicy sort of ginger cake. There's quite a lot of cakes I like, to be honest. It's very rare there'll be a cake I don't like, let's put it that way. I don't know if I've actually ever tried Marmite on bacon. I've got 2001: A Space Odyssey on Blu-ray, if you mean a Stanley Kubrick film. I've never read the book, but I've got the film on Blu-ray. Okay, is that vegetable oil rich? Oh, I'll tell you what, Eccles cakes and Welsh cakes are really nice. Also what they call heavy cakes, that some of the Cornish places sell. What I really like with those is if you have either Marmite in them or like really strong cheddar cheese spread, because it's like very tangy and kind of contrasts like the currently flavour of the bun. That's really nice. Potentially, yeah. I've got a sparring video coming out, I think, this week. It's actually probably one of my least favourite Kubrick films, to be honest. I don't really get it. Like, I think some of the sets are really well done and everything, but it's a very long run time and I just find it a bit boring. Like A Clockwork Orange, Doctor Strangelove and everything I really like. 2001's the one I'm a bit more like, about. It's not a bad film, don't get me wrong, I just think it's very, very overrated. Right, cool. Happy birthday for tomorrow. Barry Lyndon's quite interesting because Kubrick got like a very specialised camera for filming a lot of the scenes by candlelight. So it's one of the very first films that are actually, you know, lots of the scenes are filmed with actually proper lighting rather than it being like spotlights in a room with candles kind of thing. No, I've only ever played Borderlands 2 and I thought that was a bit shit, to be honest. I just didn't get the appeal of it. So now I've got no interest in Borderlands 3. Yeah, the end bit is very good, but I don't want to post spoilers to anybody who's not seen it. It's definitely worth seeing if you've not seen it. I mean, a lot of people don't like Barry Lyndon as much as a lot of Kubrick's other films, but if you like, you know, you'd like it, I think. It's kind of like a two-part film where part one's quite different from part two, and it's quite a long film. It's like 3 to 4 hours, I think. But if you like sort of very good period sort of history dramas, it's quite good. Is Shadows Die Twice the new game that's from the Dark Souls from Software? The Demon Souls people? Because people keep mentioning that, and I've still, you know, barely looked at it. And I keep forgetting what it's called. No, I've only seen the old Jumanji movie, and I like that, but I've not seen the new one. No, it's basically the rise and fall of him, isn't it? Part 1 is sort of his rise to power, and part 2 is his fall from power. Yeah, Anion Rishiki or whatever they're called, I can never pronounce it. But they didn't use proper sarin, that's why it barely killed anyone. I've covered that quite a few times, but... Well, I like the Dacia I drive at the moment, because it's cheap and works. I don't know about scariest. I mean, when I used to work in the city, one of the reasons I used to have a stab vest is you'd occasionally get knives pulled on you and stuff like that. But sometimes that's only like scary in hindsight, not actually at the time, because your adrenaline gets going. But yeah, Mike recommended La Haine to me. I didn't really get it. It was alright, it was worth watching. But, you know, it wasn't one of my favourite foreign language films I've watched. Yeah, I like The Shawshank Redemption. I don't think I've ever met anybody who doesn't like The Shawshank Redemption, to be fair. Not sure what you mean by Russian Ark. Is that a film? Yeah, I've seen the Stalker film, didn't like it, thought it was very pretentious. I like the book Roadside Picnic, and I like the Stalker game series, but I don't actually like the film. Some of the shots in it are very nice, don't get me wrong, but it just dragged on and on and on, barely anything happens, does it? See, this is where I think a lot of people not like me, because I'm not very hipsterish at all when it comes to films. I like people like Kubrick, but I don't like films with lots of artistic shots in that just linger on. I'd say watch it on fast forwards, maybe. Some of the individual scenes from the film are very good, but the film as a whole, I think, goes on for far too long. And there's sometimes bits where, obviously, you know, Tarkovsky thinks, oh, this would look really nice for a framing, for, like, the camera. So he has to, you know, make the camera linger on a shot for just so long, going, oh, look how good the scene is, look how good the scene is. Like, we get it. You think, the, you know, shot look nice. Well, they'd have to carry stuff that's legal, wouldn't they, Peach? Because I'm not going to recommend it otherwise. I don't know if a buckler would be legal. But I think people should definitely invest in some stuff for personal protection because of how bad it is in some places. Yeah, I've got the Deer Hunter on DVD. Isn't that Jonestown, though, drinking the Kool-Aid? I quite like Platoon. I like Platoon and Full Metal Jacket. That's cool, good. Glad that. So yeah, congratulations, Alex. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, they're sneaking up on me, aren't they? If I turn around, they might be a bit closer. Yeah, I've got the original Red Dawn on DVD. I've not seen the remake, and I don't really want to. But the original's fairly good. Might rewatch that at some point, because I've not seen it in years, actually. Contagion I've seen. I also like quite a lot of other similar things to that, like was it Containment? It was called TV series, and there's also Outbreak. Is it? There's quite a lot of films like that. I do like disease films where there's like a virus or a disease that's spreading out of control and there's people trying to stop it. Maybe an AK, I guess. Depends on what guns you could get, an AK or a FAL. They're good guns. Well, I've not seen the Belgian original series of Containment. I saw the American remake of it, and the problem with the American remake is I don't want to spoil it, but it was meant to be more than one series, and I think when they were nearly done filming the end of the first series, they were told there wasn't going to be a second series. So they had to wrap all the plot up in like 1 or 2 episodes at the end, so the ending feels very rushed and kind of not authentic. That's what I didn't like it. I did like the series overall, but it did really annoy me that, you know, obviously they had to do a cop-out ending to it because they didn't have time to expand all the ideas into a second series. I've heard of that, but I've not seen it. I think there's a Shitcase Cinema review of Defenders of the Earth where he talks about that. Favourite helmet in history, or like favourite helmet that I own? I like serial killer documentaries and like military history documentaries. I've been watching quite a lot of serial killer documentaries recently because I find true crime quite fascinating. I think most of the killers are, you know, complete loser scumbags, don't get me wrong, but I don't like the idea of romanticising serial killers, but I do find it quite fascinating, some of the horrible things humans do to each other. In history, maybe the Sallet helmet, or Sallet helmet, however it's pronounced, especially when it's got like the chin guard bit with it. That'd be like my favourite medieval helmet. In terms of like modern helmets, probably either one of those like Russian or Soviet titanium helmets, or maybe that like modern US thermoplastic helmet they have. Is that one of the things where there was a guy that went into the houses and like killed the families with an axe at night? Because there's a few ones like that. Or is this like the Atlanta Ripper kind of things? Is it assuming that I've got the same amount of ammunition for either, Dimmy? I'd say maybe a hunting shotgun. Because if I could use both slugs and like shot with it, then I'd say a shotgun's probably more versatile. I prefer the original to the remake of the Crazies. I've got the original on Blu-ray. Yeah, Dankula did a Mad Lads video, didn't he, on Chopper? Mark Chopper Reed, or whatever his name was. I actually have to see the film. I've never seen the film, but I do know about the bloke. But yeah, I'll have to check that film out because I think I'd enjoy that. If you want a really good film about Jack the Ripper, watch the one that has Michael Caine in it. That's like a 2 or 3 hour made-for-TV movie. That's very good. It's like one of the most accurate versions of the Jack the Ripper stuff, you know, based on the actual historical evidence. Obviously, in the film, they do make an assumption on who Jack the Ripper is, and there's obviously no evidence that it was really that person. So there's that. But in terms of actually following the events and all the people it could have been, it's a very good film. I've not seen From Hell, but I know a lot of people didn't like it. Yeah, I've got 2 Brody helmets. Yeah, I've got The Descent on DVD, but I've not watched that in years either. There's a free film you can watch, that's an Australian found footage film. If you like The Descent, you might like it, called The Tunnel, which is very good. I think it's one of the best found footage films I've seen, and it's actually one they release for free. Like, I think the entire film is on YouTube. Let me have a quick look. Because I think the people who made the film did like a thing to release it for free on purpose. Right, The Tunnel you can actually buy for some reason on YouTube for $1.99, but the same companies uploaded the film onto YouTube for free. So why you would pay for it when you can watch it for free, unless you wanted to do it as a donation thing, I don't know. But here's a link if anybody wants it to The Tunnel. There you go. Which Japanese creepypasta? There's a few. In the original one, they've got Mark V gas masks in the original with like weird filters on the bottom, because normal Mark V has a hose on it attached to a big box filter. But if you actually have a look on my Teesprings merch, you'll see I've got a Mark V on there. So the mask they wear in the Crazies is you can get on a t-shirt or a mug now if you want one. I've not seen the original All Quiet on the Western Front, but I've seen the remake that was made in the 70s, whatever it was, the colour one. I don't know, Gilly King, it would completely depend on the scenario. The Tunnel, it's a found footage film. I don't want to say too much and spoil it, but it's like where some journalists are investigating disappearances in like a train tunnel network, like a subway kind of network. If you've seen a British horror film, Creep, it's quite similar to that in some ways. But it's like a very well done found footage film. Alright, cool, Snowman White. If I remember, I'll check that out. The remake, in the original, it's an Acme Clear Vision or something it's called. I haven't seen the remake, I've only seen the original. I've heard of Frankenstein's Army, but I've never seen it. But I have seen a lot of those kind of zombie Nazi, you know, ghost, wraiths, experiment kind of films like The Bunker and all the other ones that were done. Because there's absolutely loads of films like that with, you know, the same kind of premise in them. Some of them are good, some of them aren't. If you want an interesting, like, comedy horror film, there's 2 I'm going to recommend to you now. One of them's like a very good horror film. The other's like more of a comedy one. The one that's a very good like thriller / horror film is called The Kill List. If you've not seen that, The Kill List is really good. I'm not going to say too much about it. Watch it rather than read any spoilers on it. And one that's like a comedy horror, quite good film, is called Ravenous. Yeah, I'm subscribed to PewDiePie. I've not actually seen the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I've not seen the original Pet Sematary nor the remake, so I can't really comment. Alright, I'll get my favourite lighter, 1 minute. I don't think it's got fuel in it though. Yeah, this is one of my favourites, the Imco 6700. But there's not enough fuel in it because it's obviously a petrol lighter. It's so if I had fuel in it, it would light, but obviously these are the sort of lighters that go out if you don't refill them every like 2 weeks or so. I did see Hardware not too long ago, which was a good like sci-fi horror film, like thriller sort of dark comedy thing. Are you on about Eden Lake, Snowman White, or is it a different film? Because I can think of a few films with a premise like that, but I can't actually think which one that would be off the top of my head. Never played it. I'm really not into Battle Royale games, because it's like such an oversaturated game market now. I know PlayerUnknown's Battle Royales are one of the first ones that actually did a proper Battle Royale thing, so you can give them points for their originality compared to some of them, but... No, sadly, I'd love some Rhodesian camo, but I don't have any. No, I've not seen Trench 11. Let me look up The Children then, without sounding like a paedophile saying something like that. IMDb. Is this the one from 2008? A relaxing Christmas vacation turns into a terrifying fight for survival as the children begin to turn on their parents. Might check that one out then. There's also the 1980 The Children, which I think is the one that Shit-K Cinema reviewed, that looks hilariously bad. A nuclear plant leaks turns a busload of children into murderous atomic zombies with black fingernails. Yeah, that is the one Shit-K Cinema reviewed. It looks so shit. I should watch it. Yeah, Peanut Lighter's Last Ages. I can't remember if I've currently got... I think my Peanut Lighter's currently on my keyring, but I don't have that in here. I've got them up the front room table. But yeah, I keep a Peanut Lighter on my keyring, and I think at the moment it still works absolutely fine, yeah. So you only need to refill it like once a year or whatever, which is very good. It's because it's got an O-ring in, that's all it is. That's the shame with most liquid fuel lighters, that they don't have very good O-rings in, so you only get like a week or 2 weeks out of the fuel. Yeah, I've seen a John Carpenter version of that, but I've read the book. The book's called The Midwich Cuckoos by John Wyndham, who wrote Day of the Triffids. But for some reason the films are always called Village of the Damned rather than Midwich Cuckoos. Let me Google Inhuman Resources then. Alright, lots of recommendations, so apologies, I'm going to forget half of these. What I generally try to do is open them in new tabs, but then I end up closing the browsers without bookmarking all of them. Ah, it's got Tom Savini in Human Resources, then I'll probably try and remember to watch that one then. Well, if you like The Wicker Man, check out The Kill List, which I recommended earlier. I think you'd like it. Yeah, I've seen 30 Days a Night. I did quite like that, actually. I think it'd be quite tense if you're having to like hold up in an attic or like a house without them finding you. The Last Shift, I'm sure I've heard about that. No, they're real but deactivated. Let me Google Last Shift. I do appreciate all the recommendations, but as I said, annoyingly I'm going to forget half of these. Now, premise sounds interesting. So it's a bit like Assault on Precinct 13, but it's a horror film rather than a sort of action film. Yeah, I've seen The Lost Boys. I didn't think it was amazing. It was alright. I know, obviously, it was a big influence on things like Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I said earlier I've got Full Metal Jacket on Blu-ray. I've got Puppet Master 1 and 2 Slingshot Warrior on DVD, but I've not seen any of the others. I ought to watch the newest one. Is it called The Litless Reich or something like that? Because I know they did a recent one. That some people said's good, some people have said's crap. But I've only got Puppet Master 1 and 2 on DVD. That's sort of interesting. I might try and remember that, Alex, but I'll probably forget, as said. Yeah, I thought that was very good. How did you do the effect, Mike, where the blood sprayed out of the fingers? Right, see ya. No, that's the Stephen King one, isn't it, Children of the Corn? I've never seen it. I've heard some people like it, some people think it's crap. Yeah, that's a good idea, Alex. Yeah, if you post a comment once the video's processed, then at least I've got a permanent comment, rather than like the stream ones that I'll not want to watch all the way back to find what films are. No, I've barely watched any anime, unless you count something like Pokemon or Digimon as anime, which I watched when I was a kid. But my eye's getting quite itchy now. But no, I've not really watched much anime or stuff like that at all. I don't have anything against it, I've just never really had much interest. I would say Lego. I would say like Lego bricks rather than Legos. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You just squeeze the bottle and the air pressure in the bottle makes it spray out. No, I assume the Zodiac's about the Zodiac Killer. I know about the real Zodiac Killer, but I've not actually seen the film of it. Maybe the knife fight from the end of Commando? You know, let off some steam, Bennett. Yeah, I like Halloween 1, 2 and 3. Most of the sequels after that, no. The new Halloween was actually pretty good. Yeah, I like the new Halloween. It's called a French F2 jacket or shirt. I think the name of the camo is something like Central European pattern, they call it. And right now I'm very hungry. Commando's one of the ones I can remember quite a lot of the lines from. Well, because what I do is, I'm always about a month ahead with my videos, but what I've done is I've put a lot of them up on premieres so you know when the videos are coming out. That way people aren't going to keep asking, when's your next video? What's your next video? Kind of thing. I've not done any of the videos that go live on Sundays at the moment, because I won't actually be around for the premiere. I can't guarantee I'm going to be around at 5 PM every night for the premieres anyway. But I thought this way you can actually at least see what the upcoming videos are. Yeah, I've only seen the original House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price. They actually had several actors that played Michael Myers in the original Halloween, didn't they? I know Nick Castle was one of them. They also had, I think John Carpenter plays him in one scene, doesn't he? And there was a couple of other people. You know, I think it was just for the convenience of who was around on set at the day and like where they wanted him or something like that. Yeah, that's why I love Commando, because of all the crap like that in it. It's action schlock at its best. Favourite food? Probably. Well, it depends. If it's like any food, it would be either like a Chinese or Indian takeaway kind of food. Then it would be from my local takeaway. I really like, I think it's chicken kashmir, which is similar to korma, but it's got like bits of banana in it. if it's like food that you can buy from the supermarket or whatever, I'd say honey roasted cashew nuts. Or honey coated cashew nuts, whatever you want to call them. I'll actually have to check that out. I've heard a lot of people like the remake on House of Haunted Hill, and I've heard the remake's very different than the original. Yeah, cool, I'm going to be on stream for another 20 odd minutes, Alex, so you'll still catch the end of it. Right, I'll definitely have to check out the remake of that then, because I've heard several people recommend that, but I've just never watched it. Well, the problem is, I've only ever used two Slingshot Warrior. I used a Barnett Strike 9, I think it was, and despite a lot of people hating that, I thought that was alright. And I also used one called the Scorpion or something that was a mass-produced, made-in-China slingshot that was awful. Now, I'm assuming if they were execution swords, the holes in the blades would be to let the blood go through or something, would it? Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Probably Poland, actually. Either Poland or Finland, I'd say, out of all the countries I visited. Just because they were the most interesting. And the great thing about somewhere like Poland is you can actually go on holiday there very cheaply. Whereas with some countries, obviously, depending on the currency exchange rate, price of flights, price of hotels, it can go up a lot. Not through a proper military one, TechStorm. I've looked through, like, civilian scopes and things. But I've not looked through things like a SUSAT or an ACOG. I thought Steven Seagal was an actor rather than the film. Yeah, I've been to the Ashmolean. Pit Rivers I prefer, though. You know, they've got the weapons section at the top of the Pit Rivers. On the top floor. Yeah, I've got the British copy of a Pasket, as I've already said. Yeah, I was getting a bit confused there, Alex. I was like, is there a film about Steven Seagal called Steven Seagal? I've got Under Siege and Under Siege 2 on DVD. No, but it sounds like it could be a fake video Junebug. Well, I don't have an ACH helmet, so I can't test them. I'd assume the Avon M50 is designed to fit, isn't it, with those sort of helmets? Because the US military uses the M50 and that helmet. Oldest thing I have a replica of, like maybe that crossbow there. You know, like one of the crossbows are one of the medieval swords, I guess, because they're things that are around the time of like the 1200s or whatever, 1300s. Well, if it is real, it's probably like he got trapped in a cave, was it, and died. I mean, potholing or spelunking, whatever you want to call it, it's a fairly dangerous thing to do. I did watch that video you sent me yesterday, Mike, and I thought, bloody hell, I wouldn't want to be crawling through tight spaces like that. Those people have a death wish. That's cool. Sadly, there used to be, in the surplus store that's closed now, they used to have, like, fairly good quality replicas of German M40 helmets and things, and I never bought one. I kind of regret that now. But, you know, they were actually very well made replicas, and they weren't too expensive. They were like £30 or £40. No, I don't think I've watched any of David Irving's stuff, but I think this is going to be a very politically leaded question, isn't it? Because I know he's got in trouble for saying things before. So, see the disclaimer at the bottom of the video. My favourite type of camo is either Flecktarn, specifically like this generation of Flecktarn with this kind of camo pattern on it, or colour. Or maybe Soviet SS Lito camo. IMA website. Let me have a look. Institute of Money Advisors. That doesn't sound right. The Institute of Mathematics and its Applications. The Intelligent Membrane Trade Association. Most of the things coming up don't seem like the kind of thing I'm meant to be looking for. Okay, thank you. Well, Google that. I'll have a look at their bayonets while I'm on here as well. Oh, so there's Finnish style helms for like $50. That's not too bad, is it? Oh, they've got the PIV helmet reproduction I've got. What else is on here? I suppose the problem is it's all in dollars, and a lot of this stuff I probably couldn't import to the UK. Customs would probably block it. You can sometimes get liners very cheap, yeah, and stuff like that, but I'm more interested in the actual proper helmets, complete with liners and everything, so you can just wear them. So for anybody watching now that wasn't watching earlier in the streams, there is now merchandise available. If you're interested, look below. You can get some of actual proper historical gas mask artwork kind of stuff that one of my friends is doing. There's going to be more designs available later on, as and when he draws them. Yeah, thanks Mike for reminding everybody. I'm going to be on for about another 15 odd minutes for those who are interested. No, because Teespring sells in the US, UK and most EU places, so it's not going to make a difference. What about a K-bar? I've got a copy of a K-bar. They're alright knives, but they're not amazing. Yeah, I mean, you could look on eBay. There's lots of surplus on eBay. eBay. But yeah, my local surplus store was actually very good, so it was a shame when they closed. But apparently it was just because, you know, it was getting too expensive to keep a shop rental open, plus, you know, compete with prices online. Well, probably one of the rifles, I'd assume. Maybe my M1 carbine, but you can't see that because that's on the wall behind the webcam. I'd be quite interested in getting one, Peach, but I've never seen any for sale on eBay. We won't go into anything like that Snowman White, because I really don't want to get in the weird legal sort of debates over things, especially because I'm not fit to give legal advice on that kind of thing. Oh, there'll be an S10 one eventually, but it's just obviously the merch stuff has to be all drawn out by my friend who does artwork, and he can't obviously do like 10 different designs in one day. Is the GP5 really your favourite mask, or is that a joke? There is going to be a GP5 bit of merch though when he's drawn it out. Right, see you, Slingshot Warrior. Yeah, I've asked him if the next piece of merch, I don't know if he's replied yet, but I've asked him if the next piece of merch he can draw will be, Oh, hang on, he's actually replied. I'll read out his exact message. He said, "It is a very popular mask, isn't it? I'd really like to draw it in a way that really highlights the oddly muscular animal-like shape of it." There we go. So yeah, he'll be doing the GP5 next. But apparently he wants to get the look of it exactly right or something. Is that like a railgun, Junebug? I don't know. If there was a good alternative, and then I'd still upload to YouTube and another platform, but at the moment, as far as I'm aware, there is no good alternatives to YouTube. Just get whatever's cheaper or in better condition. I don't think the colour really matters on it. It's both, you know, both made from the exact same material. I like the look of the white SHMS or Shums because it looks more like a skull. Well, I think it looks good with, you know, like the really sort of dark looking eye holes on it, contrasting the sort of white of the mask. Well, at least I'm getting 10.5 messages a minute now, because earlier in the stream it was 2.5 messages a minute, so that's good. Yeah, the thing is, though, with a lot of these sites, they have to get big enough, because there was one I started using, can't remember which one it was, but it was one where I put loads of videos on there, and then the site basically went bust. Yeah, my day's been good, thank you. I didn't know there was a new Rambo film. I've only ever seen the original Rambo. That's a very good film, but I've not seen any of the sequels. Yeah, if you can get one for like $20 to $30 or something, then yeah, go for both. I think if you look at what's in the background, look at my username, my hobby should be quite obvious. Very good. I've got the F2A4 civilian model, and that's one of the most comfortable masks in my collection. I've already said multiple times I'm not getting into anything political, so don't ask my opinion on political channels. That's good, yeah. Got it a lot cheaper than if they sold the shims as a GP5. That'd be very expensive to do though, because you need all like the rubber tooling and everything else to do it correctly, I imagine. Well, I sometimes use masks when I'm volunteering with animals, if they have like fur that sheds everywhere or they're in a dusty pen, so it doesn't set my asthma or hay fever off. So I can use a gas mask while cleaning out animals in a rescue centre, if that counts as an unconventional use for them. Yeah, I like Marpat. I don't have any actual proper Marpat, but I've got a scrimnet printed in Marpat, and I think it's a very good camo. It's similar to a lot of woodland ones, isn't it? It's just digital rather than... I think the M17A2 is alright quality control wise. It's just the issue with them is obviously cheek filter masks don't work very well because they have cheek filters. I don't know who that is. I thought you were on about Marpat camo. I don't know who that is. I'm not the best person to ask on that because I don't have any chest rigs or anything like that. The only thing I've got is like a Miltech or whatever it was magazine pouch that, you know, clips over your stomach. Read the FAQ, mate. All the stuff about gas masks and stuff like that's in the FAQ. But yeah, I think Weapon Collector, if he's still on, has a fairly good like load-bearing vest chest rig kind of thing he's got, so he might be able to tell you what the name of the one is he's got. I think it's the one he got from GearBest, but off the top of my head I'm not going to remember what that's called. Depends if you want something you can put armour plates in or not, or just something that's actually like a load-bearing vest with lots of pockets. Favourite gun is the SLR in the background, L1A1 SLR FN12. If you're not looking to put plates in it, then there's quite a lot of choices you've got. When Mike comes back, he'll tell you what the name of his vest is. Might be worth seeing if that one's cheap enough. If you want a good load-bearing vest though, and you're not interested in plates, you can often buy a lot of the military surplus ones where they've taken the plates out on eBay for like $20 to $30 or pounds each. Because you can get the Osprey armour in the UK with the plates removed very cheap. And that is apparently a very good vest, you know, if you want a full camo vest. Yeah, but if it smells horrible because you've stored it incorrectly, that's not really the fault of the mask, is it? Alright, cool, I hope you didn't breathe through the filter though. But yeah, it's good if you want to demonstrate an actual respirator or gas mask to people. Ah, that's good, yeah. Right, Marco, if you see Weapon Collector's comment, he's given you a link for the vest he's got. No, I haven't heard of that. Tetchstorm, is that like a civilian thing, or is that military gear? With most NBC suits, they're elasticated, So what you do is you have the mask on, you pull the hood up, and then the hood tightens itself to the mask either with a drawstring or because it's elasticated. You don't need to tape it. Obviously if you put duct tape or something on it, it'd be more secure, but you don't need to with most because they pull tight to the mask. Oh, like I was saying, it's because the suit hoods, Alexander, are elasticated or they've got drawstrings. So basically, they pull tight to the mask that way. You know, if you have a raincoat, and it's a raincoat that's got like the pull cords in the raincoat hood to make the raincoat hood like tighten around your face. It's that exact thing. Where you basically pull it tight until it's made a really good seal around the mask. Yeah, it's a new webcam. I got it last week. I'm not the best person to ask on helmets, Alex. Because although I've got some in my collection, I'm not somebody who's really keen on them and can tell you all the differences between like very similar models. I don't see how I look cell shaded. It looks like very good video quality from where I'm sitting, not cartoony at all. No, well, the thing is, most NBC suits are just, most like chemical weapons when deployed are almost like a liquid if they get on you. So the idea is it's like a full body rain protection suit, basically. Yeah, I can tell because I had to actually shave for this stream, but when I was using my old webcam, the Microsoft one, you could see, like, you couldn't see if I had stubble or whatever. Whereas with this current webcam, if I've not had a shave, it actually shows up and looks bad, so I had to have a shave before I did the stream today. There's two guns in the background. The rifle, the bolt action, is a number 1 Mark III Lee Enfield. The semi-auto rifle is a British L1A1 SLR, which is the British version of the FN-FAL. I don't have a plate carrier if you're asking me, Marco. I've only got a Kevlar level 2 vest. Not really, no. Russian gopher. We have our own slang words here. I know what some of those mean, but only just due to using a lot of internet stuff. Yeah, thick is the only one of those I actually know, actually. I assume lit is like good or cool or something. I didn't see you ask a question, Alex. What did you ask? You might have to type it again. And as shown about the thing of the helmets, I don't think Mike would know, to be honest, about the difference between two German World War II helmets. Yeah, I definitely would not know yeet means throwing something. I wouldn't be wearing woodland camo in the stream, would I, if I didn't like it? If it's a question about the M40 versus the M42 helmet, I have no idea. Well, in the UK, Johnny normally means either a condom or a dildo. So, asking for UK slang on something might be very different from US slang, just saying that now. I don't have an actual Russian Gorka suit, but I've got a very similar Ukrainian winter suit. I don't actually know too much about Gorka suits. like I said, I've got like a Ukrainian copy of one, but I don't know too much about the Russian ones and the difference between the models and like the winter and the summer ones. So yeah, don't ask me too much about Gorkas because I can't answer it. Well, in terms of deadly effects, things like nerve agents, VX, sarin, the other V series and other G series nerve agents, just because a tiny little bit can kill you through skin contact alone, not even inhaling it. Yeah, I've never heard that expression. Right, anyway, I've gone for over 2 hours now, so I think I'll call that a day for the stream, because where I've had this massive cup of coffee, I really need a piss now. As you can see, this is nearly a litre capacity in this mug, so drinking all that, you know, over the course of 2 hours has made me need a wee. So, see everybody, and as I said, don't forget, merch below if you're interested, because, like I'm saying, a lot of people ask for merch, and it's there now. And the merch designs will be carrying on to be released, so keep checking back if you're looking for like a GP5 or an S10 or whatever, because there'll be more and more designs coming out. So thanks for watching everybody. I will definitely do a stream tomorrow, but I don't know what time yet, so you'll just have to keep your eyes peeled. Right, see ya.